Hi, my name is Melina Bricker and I am from CSU Extension of Routt County, and I wanted to talk a little bit about 4-H as preventative care. So, current trends in addressing the ever-increasing amount of chronic and toxic stress youth face often include models that are difficult to implement with consistency, efficacy, and community interest. In rural communities, behavioral health needs are magnified by remote living and socioeconomic hardship. Toxic and chronically stressful events, sometimes referred to as traumatic experiences, are more likely to occur, continue, and become exacerbated by poverty, isolation, just fewer opportunities to access formal supports. Programs that seek to support families through evening and weekend classes and groups regularly struggle in rural, remote areas where childcare, commutes, and overwork prevent any reasonable ability for families to engage regularly and effectively. Yet another concern in creating comprehensive and meaningful programming that addresses behavioral and mental health issues are the disparate cultural mores that many organizations and programs hold in moderate conflict to rural families that may have different value sets in regard to mental illness, substance use, family roles, and conflict resolution dynamics. These barriers to providing sustainable, effective youth support and prevention are numerous. They often include the financial burdens of seeking traditional therapeutic opportunities, difficulty accessing programming offered 30, 40, maybe even 60 minutes away in often challenging road conditions, issues of finding care for children in childcare deserts to attend parental supports, stigma related to asking for help or actively engaging in programming, and the general exhaustion from being told repeatedly that youth have problems with resilience and mental health, but without practical, simple tools to address the issues. All of these challenges seem to be known or adapted to in some way, yet we continue to see issues with compounding generational trauma and maladaptive behaviors in youth, from depression and anxiety to suicide and homicide. And yet, miraculously, there is a program that most rural communities already know and love that addresses almost every one of these barriers and challenges, in addition to providing historically remarkable levels of self-efficacy and resilience, both psychologically and physically. I'm talking about 4-H. This program, which includes the 4 H's of head, heart, hands, and health, hits upon the very areas most new and innovative programs hope to see in mid and long-term outcome projections. The youth enrolled in 4-H are celebrated for developing leadership skills, encouraged to take on formalized leadership positions that teach about public speaking, organizational structure, and community and program investment. There are no financial burdens that present barriers, as the cost of enrollment and any additional project fees are minimal and eligible for scholarship if needed. The creation of clubs directly in the communities of enrollees and run with volunteer club leaders provides localized, healthy adult relationships and accountability. Projects are self-paced. Support is offered through targeted workshops, webinars, and project leader one-on-one help. Enrollees track their financial, plenary, and completed project elements in a binder, teaching responsibility and laying that groundwork for portfolio development as they approach young adulthood. But it's not just the structural and relational benefits that make 4-H uniquely positioned to be the seminal behavioral health prevention tool for rural communities. It's the psychological approach to resilience that I support the most. It's the method of intentional microadversities, or minor challenges, that teach youth that they have the ability to be strong. They have the tools, support, and encouragement to accomplish things that are physically, cognitively, socially, and emotionally difficult. And it teaches our young people the most fundamentally life-altering things so many top-down programs try to accomplish. It tells our youth they can do hard things. So, this translates with such beauty into the other spaces of these 4-H kids' lives. One club leader remarked recently that she noted a significant difference in the ability of her children to cope with grief and loss when compared to their cousins after experiencing a family death. She attributed their resilience, healthy processing, and ability to emotionally support their similarly aged cousins with their long history of livestock projects in 4-H. raising, loving, preparing, showing, and selling their animals destined for market or freezers created a healthy respect, not only for the process, but for life itself as it cycles repeatedly. They learned to manage death in a microdose, creating the fundamental processing pathways that they would refine and augment year after year. They faced something hard, and it made them stronger. Youth have every opportunity to dissociate from reality. Social media includes heavy daily doses of perfection-based physical imagery, hypersexualization of identity, and impossible socioeconomic displays and aspirations. This propagates crippling anxieties about peer relationships, school safety, climate change, war efforts, and a great number of other issues that are well outside the control of young people that are experiencing them. This vicious loop of constant anxiety and an inability to address or mitigate the issues it focuses on, coupled with endless opportunities to distract and escape, make prime real estate for detached, depressed, anxious kids desperately hoping this is not actually the world they're being given. 4-H shows that it's not. 4-H shows that missing school during calving season is another teaching and learning opportunity well worth the exchange. It teaches that anyone can learn to shoot, whether it's .22 rifle or in archery. It teaches that you can care for a living thing, understanding and respecting its needs, role, and sacrifice. It teaches you that the people you surround yourself with will raise you up as they've been raised up. Because connection, responsibility, and integrity are needed to go to the state capitol, meet political leaders, understand policy that impacts land and livelihood. 4-H insists that the head, heart, hands, and health of youth are what develop the critical thinking, value-motivated, community-centered, resilient leaders of the future. It is imperative that trained behavioral health providers continue efforts in traditional and non-traditional intervention and prevention. And this should include 4-H as a preventative program, not just for at-risk youth, but all youth. There is an old adage in performing arts: really excellent actors level up the other actors around them. To place struggling kids and teens among healthy, happy peers is one of the most effective ways to build up their own resilience and positive self-perception. It also changes the narrative from those overwhelming toxic messages in the media as to what should be desirable for youth. It's less about being sexy and more about being strong. It's less about being popular and more about being a leader. It's less about ego and it's more about community. I am an enormous advocate for aiming slightly away from complex behavioral issues. What we see as drug abuse, depression, anger, and dissociation are simply expressions of adaptation to an environment that makes impossible demands on minds, bodies, and relationships. 4-H is the remarkable environment that teaches capability, accountability, friendship, and investment in something other than the self. In an increasingly self-centered society, this intentional aiming away from self-fulfillment and immediate gratification is precisely the antidote to maladaptive behaviors. In short, 4-H is the preventative care we never knew we were always doing.